dream of a world where we decide compensation based on only our minds. Equality, wish my earnings would be the same as a man's.
It is fair to say that if Walt Disney were alive today, he would not be in favor of his princesses making the same amount of money as a man in any job. After all, princes were out there slaying dragons, brandishing swords against the evil empires, generally saving the always in distress damsel. But here in the modern world, Walt wouldn't have much choice, and rightly so. Because if there are those of you who believe women don't deserve the exact same pay for the exact same job, then you are hereby banished to a small hovel somewhere in a deep netherworld, forced to live the rest of your dire life as a slug or newt. Perhaps being turned into something small and insignificant would not be a proper fate for one side of the debate about equal pay for equal jobs. Perhaps being turned into Al Sharpton or an MSNBC show host would be a more fitting and dire end to your intelligent existence as something large, insignificant, and suffering from perpetual blowhard.
Women make about 77 cents for every dollar a man makes for doing the same job. Don't Republicans need to be more sensitive to issues like that?
You know, there's no such thing as being too busy for equal pay. Maybe I'm misunderstanding something, but I've never heard that excuse before, or the idea that men are better negotiators than women. Maybe that's the case. Regardless, though, that really had nothing to do with what she was asked. You could tell she was very thrown off. She didn't quite know how to answer that question. If I were her, I would have said, look, I'm for equality. There are measures in the Lilly Ledbetter Act that might put a burden on businesses. Why not answer this head on? Why not be just honest about how you're feeling? This is when Republicans get into real trouble.
Please allow me to humbly apologize for even the inference that by believing in fraud, lies, and hyperbole, that one might be turned into Al Sharpton. I fear that for anyone with 6 working brain cells, there may be no more dastardly fate. But it would be fitting if you believed such bovine droppings as you just heard. You see, it's a lie, a fraud, a misstatement of the truth, as is at least one other item that is passed off as fact. Let us delve for a moment into a not-so-Disney magical world, a world where resides a group of people who live in the hope that you, yes you, and so many others like you, are gullible, easy to persuade, and ready to swallow any amount of projectile fraud they pass your way. For instance, this is a graphic that's been passed around the internet of late, getting plenty of time on Facebook, proclaiming that every single Republican voted against equal pay for women. And just to make it emphatic, there was the use of the perfectly placed periods in the following statement on this graphic: every single one. In essence, it's true, but as it goes with so many on any side seeking to sway opinion to their side with little or no debate, it's incomplete, no bearing in fact whatsoever. What we're talking about here is the Paycheck Fairness Act, which the Republicans properly voted against because it was more than about equal pay. It was about Democrats and special interest groups shoveling plenty of the standard pork and payoffs into the bill, then just waiting for some evil overlord, in this case Republicans, to give them a reason for wringing of hands and gnashing of teeth. Inside the bill, which the authors of such laughable posts won't reveal, is legislation that would hammer away at employers and make it easier for anyone to slam them with claims, maybe even false ones, of gender based on discrimination. It would also make it easier for anyone to get a lawyer and file class action lawsuits to collect not just back pay, but compensatory and punitive damages. In other words, opening the floodgates for lawsuits and litigation being second-guessed by federal judges. As for that 77 cent on the dollar claim, President Obama pushed that excremental line earlier this year, and even the "we would rather drop ourselves into the Potomac before helping the Republicans" Washington Post bagged that with not one but 2 Pinocchios. Suffice to say, there are a number of nonpartisan studies showing this line to be bogus, from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis to the Labor Department. And a Georgetown University study showing 9 of the top 10 college majors were male-dominated, 9 of the bottom 10 college majors dominated by women. In other words, the argument, like so many others, cherry-picks what it needs to seem correct and damning, which makes the assertion laughable and incorrect. Equal pay for equal work is a stunning no-brainer, but those posting and shoveling such fetid piles are only making political points, and pray you won't bother shoveling a little deeper for the truth. And that is telling it like it is.